River, you have been issued a mission separate from everyone else. On the 6th of March, everyone went to investigate the caves and the entrances in an attempt to track down Guy Lemons. However, during the morning scout, it was discovered that Jerediah's home had an unknown occupant, as it seems, as footprints were seen inside the home. The home was not entered due to its contained status, but being that they were needing to investigate local mine entrances anyway, you have been tasked to look into it alongside with Lalo, due to both you being the only ones with proper suits. Actually, I think this was prior to the other group going into the cave, because you all had suits by that point, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this was prior. This was about a couple days before. And so you have been sent out alongside Lalo. Was there anything you wanted to do before heading that way?
I did want to, I'm not sure if I already did. I did want to run tests to see if the mold had any sort of effect on blood soil itself.
Okay, how are you conducting the test?
I have samples of both.
Okay.
So I wanted to see if, sort of like the antibacterial test, where to see if the mold would actually start to deteriorate the blood soil.
Okay. You set that up. In the first few days, you do not see any results.
Right.
However, you do notice that the blood soil does not seem to be taking over the fungus either. So there's no progression either way.
Noted.
And you observe that for about the day that you have, and you keep it in order to continue to watch it over time.
She'll put it somewhere safe so someone doesn't accidentally breathe that stuff in.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have it in like a little petri dish.
And you said I could officially purchase the, or spend some resource on getting the night vision monocular.
Yeah, that's fine. You're essentially just doing it to look cool, so.
Oh yeah. It's practical.
Sure. And after your test, you are contacted by Aisha, who comes down the stairs, and she informs you of the situation that Henderson found. And says, the others are going to continue to look around town, but given that you are busy, and she motions to your testing, it may be better to let you continue working on this for now. But once you have a spare moment, we would like you to take time to look into it. The rest of us don't have suits yet.
I can make room in mine.
I'm sorry, your mic is like, it is close and then it gets quiet.
But is it working now?
Yes.
She supposes she can make room in her busy schedule.
She nods. Thank you. You'll have backup, as I believe I mentioned.
Yes. Stable one.
Depending on the situation.
It'll go just fine.
I believe so. If any troubles arise, you do have a radio, correct?
I don't believe I do.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I don't believe I do.
Cell phone?
That I do have.
Well, then I'll make sure to keep mine on me.
See, that's the issue. It's yours.
River still has Aisha's cell phone?
I think so. She has the photos.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. She wouldn't have said that then. Um, she'll say I'll make sure to keep Matthew's on me.
Right, that should work.
Very well. Better to head out sooner than later once you get a point. We don't want whoever's in there to wander out, especially if they're contaminated.
Make haste in wrapping up.
Nods. And she'll head out. And then you're able to finish your tests, take a look over that.
Before Aisha leaves, River would like to hand her a piece of paper.
Aisha stops and takes the piece of paper, and she looks.
She does so wordlessly and returns back to work. It's just a detailed report on why a 3 is not a befitting rank for her.
You see Aisha smile. A closed lip smile. You put time into this.
A whole night. A
What-
good feat.
What are the points that River has laid out?
It's every single advancement she's made in the science so far. All the discoveries. All nicely bullet pointed and such.
Well, I can't deny that logic when it's laid out so nicely, she says as she reaches into her pocket and pulls out that closed case that you recall seeing the first time, and she opens it. And takes out a 4 and just holds it out for you.
I'm glad we are in agreement.
You've made your point very clear. Between you and me, there was one coming your direction soon anyway. We just hadn't had a chance.
I appreciate the haste.
Congratulations, River. You've diplomacied your way without a single check into an up fucking promotion.
Or have you? Roll intelligence politics.
Wait, I need to spend points in politics.
You can't. It's too late.
No,
You failed.
No.
You go back to a 2.
Oh, dang.
She looks down at the paper again and nods. If there's anything else you need, feel free to let me know.
At the moment, nothing comes to mind.
Very well then. Best of luck on your studies. And she turns and
And
clicks
you with
away.
your own business.
She gives a wave over her shoulder and continues up the stairs.
Okay.
And several hours later, you hear the sounds of footsteps on the stairs. Much different, less light, and more heavy. And you see coming down the stairs is Lalo, all suited up.
She did mean right away, didn't she?
He nods.
Alright, I'll give me a moment to get ready. I'll meet you upstairs.
Very well. Mhm. Head upstairs.
Alright, she will apply the murdered suit.
You don the murder suit.
I am ready.
You both head out, and there is a car waiting for you.
She will also bring her ghillie blanket.
Okay.
Seems
Make
like
sure
she
to
herself.
update your inventory with anything you do or don't want to bring.
I think I got everything. Oh wait, no, I got this. Wasn't. Everything else looks right, though.
Okay.
Actually, I'll have one slot open.
The night vision monocular is not a weapon.
Yeah, I'm opening up
Okay.
cold iron or not on me. I just don't feel like getting rid of it. I want to know I have it, so I'm gonna just light them out.
Okay.
There we go.
Cool. And you head up. Both of you are able to get in the car. Are you driving, River, or are you leaving that to Lalo?
Depends. Have I taken any lessons yet? I haven't driven in 10 years.
No, you have not.
Lala should be doing the driving.
All right. Let me roll something. You see Lalo sit down in the driver's side, and for a moment he looks at the stick shift, and he's quiet.
Oh,
And then he
being bother.
gingerly
No, don't
Shift
even
it?
try. Don't
No.
even try. We will find someone who can drive this car.
he takes off the helmet. I can drive. Just
Can you look me in the eye and tell me that confidently?
looks you in the eye with a soft smile. I can drive. It's just been a couple years.
She looks doubtful.
He blinks, which inadvertently bats his long ass eyelashes, and he continues back on shifting, and he puts it into drive. He starts the car before that. Seatbelt on. Looks at you to make sure your seatbelt's on.
Whip it. She's still eyeing like everything he's doing.
And he gingerly begins to drive, and you haven't crashed.
This is good. Is it like the very slow rounding corners and such?
A little bit. It's mainly it's mainly that he's focusing on the shifting.
She's gonna try to not look as tense as she is.
Lala looks completely calm.
Of all things, dying in a car accident after surviving all this.
You're going less than 20 miles per hour.
Okay. She can tolerate that.
And eventually you turn onto the rather uninhabited street in which Jerediah's home is located, and I'll go ahead and move you. Where is your token?
I'm over here.
Where? Oh, there you are. Stop skipping. And Diddy. God damn it. Oh god. And you guys drive across town. And it's not a terribly long drive. I actually just pull the light instead of you. And it's pretty early on in the morning still. And you turn off. And you see as houses give way to trees. And the long expanse leading to Jerediah's house, which isn't long by car, but you know would be significantly longer by foot. And you pull up to his home, in which is in the pretty much the middle of the woods. And it is surrounded by leafless trees and stubborn brush that still manage to live through the winter. And he puts the car into park. And looks at you. Well, then.
Do we have a map of the town?
Yes, you have a map of the town.
Sort of assessing the location, because we know what direction Lemons ran in, right?
Yes. You know that Lemons ran.
Straight down.
Yes, he ran. So, from. Let me find where he was. From Henderson's house, he ran down. And it's believed he went into the mine.
Mm-hmm. Do we know if there's a mine exit or a mine entrance around here? Is it in the building?
There is a mine entrance located in Jarediah's home.
All right.
It is the one secured.
Do we have maps of what we know of the mine so far?
No. All the maps have gone missing.
Oh, then.
And
Out loud, she might bring along an extra sheet of paper to start recording.
Gotcha.
And she'll overlay it on top of the town map and sort of jot down a base idea of possible route Lemons took.
Okay. So, you are outside Jarediah's home. You notice that it is worse for wear, falling slowly into disrepair, as the windows and doors are boarded up. And you see an upper window is especially boarded up. And it looks like no one's been here for a long time. What would you like to do?
Are they well boarded, or is there gaps in between?
Relatively well boarded.
Could I do a perception to see if I can find if there's a gap where she could peer in first?
Yeah.
Night vision?
Yeah.
Alright. What's the bonus with night vision goggles? Or does that not play yet?
It isn't dark yet, so I'm not going to give you night vision. Okay. But you can have the monocle.
Yeah.
First skill.
Is that +2?
+2. That's going to be with composure. Alright, River. You do a general look over of the front, and you find on the left side of the house, first floor, there is a small gap in the window. And so you are able to kind of peek inside. And what you see on the inside is a dusty home. You see what appears to be little bits of glass on the floor, though it seems to have been swept to the side. And looking further in, you see some old furniture. You see dust particles floating in the air.
Any displacement of the dust?
As in, like, is it moving about?
Does it look like this has been entered recently? So, like,
yes.
Footsteps.
Yes, it does look like that.
How do we know someone was here? Did someone see it, or?
Henderson had come by and looked inside and said he saw footprints.
Confirm that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Confirm that.
Looking in currently, you do not see any. But you can tell that it is a rather old location, and that the dust does seem disturbed. as a confirmation.
But nothing that proves it's a human presence.
No.
A wild animal.
A wild... sorry, he's put his mask back on. A wild animal. A hedge beast.
Everything has to be a hedge beast. It could just be a hungry raccoon.
He shrugs.
But we're here to investigate.
Nods.
Do you have any means to get past this door? I suppose she'll check if it's locked first before she says that.
The door's boarded up.
Right. Yes. Then it will be said.
Lal looks at it and he nods. And he goes over to one of the boards and you see he's got his setup where he has the two flamethrowers, but they are kind of tucked to the side right now, rotated around. And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a kind of utility bar where it's pointed on one end and more of a crowbar shape in the other, and begins. He looks at you for confirmation before prying.
Yep, she'll give a nod.
Nods back and begins to pry, and you hear the creaking and protest of wooden boards.
She will peer in while he's doing that.
All right, go ahead and roll an investigation, perception, or whatever else you'd like to look for, depending on what you're specifically looking for.
Just to see if anything moves in there.
Okay, then you can go ahead and do perception.
Now would I get the night vision bonus?
Sure.
Hey, what's that?
It just means you can see in the dark. It's not going to impede you.
Alright.
But you do still get the +2.
Yeah. Got 5 successes.
5 successes. All right. River, as you look in, you get, the moment that first board clatters off, with a... that didn't make as much sound as I wanted it to. I need something heavy. There. You are able to get a better look inside. And with your night vision, everything is pretty easy for you to see. Even with a bunch of dust in the air, making it so that it's kind of clouded, you're still able to make out the entire room. And I will go ahead and change the map over for you. Okay. You see the first room?
Let me orient myself. Yes.
Okay. You see into a room that appears to be a living room. You see the other boarded up window appears to be a stained glass one. That there is still glass off to the side that you can tell with your perception was swept. As if with a broom or something like that.
Recently or...
You can tell it was a while ago. Additionally, you see that at the far end of the room there are doors, and they are open, leading inwards to what seems to be a long wooden hallway. You can tell as you step in that there is dust that coats pretty much everything. There is also a look, and though you can't smell it because you are wearing a mask to prevent it, you do see some signs of water damage on the carpet. And it's actually through these signs and kind of the mildew and mold that is starting to kind of grow on its own as nature retakes this house that you can see the first footprint. And with your critical success, you can tell it is right there. It's not actually red, but you can tell it's an imprint in the carpet.
Imprint?
Yes.
From the water damage, or?
No, as a footprint.
As a foot. Okay, gotcha. She'll snap a picture of that with her camera.
You do so, and eventually Lalo pries off all the boards and steps in.
Does the imprint look human-sized, or?
Would you like to roll an intelligence survival?
But is this wooded?
No.
Dang.
You take a look at it, and you can see what appears to be a heel and then a frontal pad. Now, based on the length, you think, yeah, that could potentially be human. It's definitely, at very least, a padded animal, if anything.
So it
By the length.
looks more barefoot.
Yes.
She'll snap that picture for evidence.
You do so.
I can confirm something's been here.
Should we secure the door to make sure nothing goes out?
Bad idea. Did you do the honors?
He looks around. First closes the door. Looks down. The lock's broken.
Help me with this couch.
You two push the couch. I'm presuming in front of the door?
Yep.
You have blockaded the door.
Are there windows over here?
Yes, but they are boarded. From the outside.
Could you test to see how strong these boards are?
Sure. Go ahead and how are you trying to test them? Just look at their structural integrity, or?
Yeah. That or test it with some taps with her rifle as well.
Go ahead and roll an intelligence crafts.
God, my strongest one. I've been meaning to put my crafts up.
You tap it with the butt end of your gun. There's a window in the way, so you'd have to open the window to actually do so.
Yeah, she'll do that.
But the boards seem sturdy. They seem well put in.
If we were in a rush to get out of here, do you think you'd be able to break through these?
He looks at them. Puts a hand out. If we're in a rush, I can make sure you have time to move the couch.
Not the kind of plan I'm confident in.
I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry.
Not a kind of plan I'm confident in. Strength is not my strongest suit.
I understand that.
Perhaps we can work these boards so it's a little more optimum for our situation.
But wouldn't that make it so that they have a way out as well?
It would, but upon seeing the door, that might be enough to halt them for a moment. I don't want to go into this without another way out. You're not the only predators in this town.
He nods and... Oh, but actually moved to you. He'll go and loosen the boards on the window slightly.
Oh, is there a way that she could help disguise the fact that they're loose, so it's just not something that's immediately obvious?
Sure, go ahead, Go ahead and roll a wit subterfuge.
Ah. Put a willpower into it.
Okay.
Oh, nope, not happening.
River, you try to disguise the fact that these boards have been loosened, and the best you can do is just close the window. You're like, that'll stop them.
Yet fools, they won't figure it out. Locks
I
it.
am genius. You did not lock it. You didn't get that far.
So I just imagine her walking up to the window, just kind of like fiddling with the hands that don't know what to do, and just a slam. Or quiet shut. Got it. Everything is set.
Slaps roof of window.
This baby could possibly never break.
And as you're doing that, you turn back, and Lalo is standing behind you, and he's just looking around the room absently.
What are these over?
Those are wine bottles. And a lot of them.
Do they seem to be full of liquid or empty?
Would you like to open one to check?
Check.
You open one. It is full of liquid.
Are all of them full or some empty?
They are full.
Any of them more full than others, or about the same?
I would say some of them are more full than others.
Any signs that some have been used recently? Dusty fingerprints or anything?
Go ahead and roll an investigation. A wits investigation.
Again, not my strong suit.
You're trying to tell, but the dust didn't gather as evenly over the bottles, so it's hard to tell, especially with having picked one up already.
Fair.
Because you have to pick it up to check if it's been even opened.
Suppose we should carry on.
Hmm.
No signs of blood soil in the house yet?
No signs. Well, takes the front. You see up ahead, there is a long hallway. In this long hallway, there is a door to the left and to the right, as well as stairs leading upward. As Lalo steps down, his foot makes a long creak.
We should tread lightly. We don't know the stability of the floor.
He doesn't respond right away, but then nods.
How's the condition inside the house? Is it damp or is it kind of dry?
It seems damp.
Okay.
Like, it's a condition in which mold was able to start growing on the carpets. So it's not clean.
River will take some samples of that mold.
All right, you go ahead and take the samples. You can tell looking at it, it's not of any red or brown color. It's very much mold color. but you are able to take sample.
I will do a stealth just to cover my footsteps a bit.
All right, go ahead and roll. Yeah, you dex stealth.
Nope. I'm assuming the ghillie would not.
Hmm?
The ghillie blanket adds stealth, but probably not in this situation.
Not in this situation, no.
Does a when she makes the footstep sounds anyway.
You do so.
Forest dirt ground.
And you try to be a little quieter, but even then, the old floorboards are able to kind of sense your weight, and they creak again. Lalo seems to be standing to the side, keeping watch to an extent.
Slowly approach the open door.
All right.
Peek inside. Just slightly around the corner, so she's not like full in view.
Which one? This one?
Yep.
All right. Oop, I didn't mean to turn that on. You fight Henderson. You peek in, and you are greeted with what seems to be a bathroom. And inside, you do see immediately there is a old toilet. Like, it's more modern, but it's definitely seen better days. More glass along the edges here, set up on high shelves. And all the cupboards have been opened. And you see various household items, but a lot of them are old and unused, or tipped over. And here again, it seems like there was once something on the floor, but it has since been cleaned. Not recently, but within... It's not as dusty in here compared to the other room.
I see hair.
Mm-hmm. Do you go in?
Well, half in.
Okay. You go half in and you see red droplets in the sink that contrast its yellowing porcelain.
So recent.
Yes.
Collect sample. Leave blood over here.
He stands in the doorway.
She will eyeball these. Are these like jars full of other liquids?
No, they're just glass jars.
Just glass jars? Okay. So correction, she won't immediately identify as blood, but a red liquid.
Lalo nods and walks over to stand in the doorway to kind of cover for you.
Collect her samples.
So, as you go over to collect samples from the sink, please go ahead and roll a perception for me.
3.
River, you are standing in front of the sink and mirror as you are working on collecting your samples, and you reach down a swab and you kind of get some of the red on there and you cap it so that you can identify it later, and you look up and you kind of see your own reflection and you're just like, That's me.
In that, what kind of mirror is this? Is this one that could be removed?
As in like a medicine cabinet?
Yeah.
Yes.
He'll take that and flip it around.
Oh, so you open it so it's not.
Yeah.
You do so. And you open it so that now you're just faced with the shelves, in which you find the shelves of the inside of the mirror are just laced with painkillers.
She'll take one.
You take one.
Keeping that as evidence.
And I stand corrected, some of the jars are full of pills as well.
Okay.
I
was just checking to make sure they weren't full of, like, stuff.
No, they're fine. And you look back down as you're examining the bottle, and it's some standard ibuprofen. And as you are, you notice something in the drain. There seems to be just a small clump.
Go pull out her science kit and tweezers.
You reach in.
To fetch it with the tweezers.
You slowly reach in your tweezers and you get a hold of it and you start pulling it out. As you're pulling it out, a long strand of hair slowly uncoils from the sink. And you pull and you pull, and it takes a bit. And for a second, you're like, how long is this hair? But eventually, you reach the end, and it kind of dips out of the sink, almost like a worm. And you look at it, and it is a long, not one strand, but a small, not like a clump, but it's that in-between place between a strand and a clump, where it is a several grouping of hair. And it's tangled at the bottom. And it's a long strand of blonde hair. An almost platinum blonde, but coated almost to look orange as it's shimmering with this wet liquid that seems to have run down the drain onto it.
I'll put that in a baggie.
You put it into a baggie, and it slicks the sides.
Right. Are there any windows in here?
There are not.
Alright.
Lalo cocks his head to the side.
I've collected samples.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I've collected some useful samples, I believe.
Nods.
Gonna. Do I roll to cover if if she's uncomfortable?
Yes, that's gonna be a presence subterfuge.
Or I suppose could I do a resolve composure just not to show it?
You may do the resolve composure first.
Okay.
That's so that you're feeling uncomfortable, but it's not overwhelming. If you want to hide the fact that you're feeling mildly uncomfortable, that will be a presence subterfuge.
Oh boy. Don't read me, Lalo. Don't do it. Oh wait, he'd be at minuses because I'm wearing mask stuff.
Would you like to try an empathy aloud to see if he's seen that you are mildly uncomfortable?
Oh boy, sure.
Alright, you are at minuses to empathy Lalo because he's wearing a mask.
Oh, minuses?
We'll give you a -2.
1. Eat that.
You see how he's looking at you. And there does seem to be a sort of air of caution, not towards you, but just kind of an almost protective nature. You get the feeling he might have noticed. But additionally, you get the feeling that he seems distracted at the same time. So if he did notice, he's not paying much attention.
Distracted similarly to, like, in the woods.
To an extent.
Give him a
More
light,
controlled.
give him a light pat on the shoulder as she makes.
He is Pat, and he looks after you, confused. You move into the next room, River, and you see a kitchen setup. Here there is more severe mold growing on the floor, and once again there are bottles and such. But the entire kitchen is disgusting. You are very glad you can't smell anything right now.
Mold.
Mold. All over the counters, all over the floor, over the fridge.
She'll collect that as well.
You collect that. You notice here it seems to be a primary place where water damage seems to have happened. You notice particularly around the window and above the fridge. There's dripping coming through. However, as you're collecting samples, you notice and you hear the clip, plip, plip of water droplets, and you kind of look up as one of them baps you on the top of your hood. And you look and you see the water that's dripping down is brown.
She'll try to collect some of that as well.
You do so.
Pile. How many samples?
You're collecting samples. How many baggies do you have?
I have whatever comes, or whatever she brought with her in the science kit.
Okay. So I'll give you at least 10.
Okay.
Make sure to keep track.
Yep, I'm writing them all down. She'll try to be thorough, so she'll check through the fridge and everything.
All right. You check through the fridge. It seems like it was cleaned out. The sides, there are still signs of what was some sort of slimy juice from rotting vegetables and fruits, but the food itself is not there.
Going to be the state of my house in Canada soon.
Lalo quietly, you hear him quietly reply through his mask, muffled. Mine too.
Mess.
You approach the top of the stairs. And it is here in which you see stained into the floorboards is a flurry of red footprints. And you see that there is a heavy stain there as well, leaking under the door.
The reports, does it say where the cave entrance comes into this house?
Yes. It's the basement.
There, okay.
It's also reported when they at first went into Jeremiah's home, that was where the blood soil was the worst. Now I note, with these ones, these are not fresh footprints, but they seem to be almost absorbed into the wood.
Same with this pile or this puddle.
Yes.
Any mention of these in the old report from Henderson?
Yes.
All right, so this is not new. Pull this door open a little and peer inside.
Whenever you peer inside and I'll give you half the room since you're peering. You see a wreck of a room, in which a lot of the wreck seems to have been pushed to either side of the room, leaving the center mildly clean. It looks like this room used to also have signs of blood, however, it's been hastily cleaned.
She'll reposition so she can get better sight of the rest.
Alright, you look in the rest. And you see what appears to be a old sofa, as well as a carpet. You see the sofa, though, and you notice that it seems to have been bothered recently. As one of the cushions has kind of fallen to the floor. And you see a what seems to be like a blanket kind of bundled on one side.
She'll click a picture.
You click a picture. And you hear the sounds of Lalo walking in the opposite direction behind you. Was there anything else you wanted to do in this room?
Anywhere particular that looked like they'd prep their head if someone laid here?
Yeah, that would be what the bundle of blankets are on this.
She'll see if she can find any hair.
All right. You begin to search through. Go ahead and roll a wits investigation for me.
Earn willpower. That's my health. I can't do that.
You are looking through it, and first it doesn't seem to beat any success. But as you are kind of unfolding the blanket, you notice through one of the cracks in the actually you have night vision, so as you're moving, you see a single like sliver fall, and you bend down and pick it up, and it is another long blonde hair, less stained than the other. Hmm?
I'll keep that. Big.
You baggy it. And when you come out, you see Lalo. And by the way, since it's dark in here, Lalo has probably actually been having to use a light, since he does not have night vision. So while you've been walking, he's probably been going on by the light from his flamethrowers having the little match at the front.
Violet light, I think. Violet light? I don't know.
I don't know. Oh, pilot. Yes. Once I said violet, I was like, no.
The violet?
And you see him looking in, and he looks back at you and says, think we found where the water problems are coming from.
Have we? Have
You look in. Inside, you see a room that is what looks to be was once drenched in blood, then dried, and then wet again. As you see, the roof in this area is just completely soaked, where it seems like there was a major leak and the water falls from the ceiling and then soaks into the carpet. The carpet, which is a red, becomes a deeper red as it's saturated. And you note that this is the room above the kitchen.
she'll look up at the roof. State of it.
It isn't doing great. You can see it's soggy looking.
She'll rub a finger on the carpet and see if is there any trace of color from the liquid.
What do you mean?
If
Like,
you
does
rub
it come off?
yeah, does any of the color come off?
Yes. A nasty brown, almost a reddish brown, comes off on your finger in the saturated area.
I suppose we'll have to take a look.
You step in, and immediately as you step in, you feel your foot soak into the carpet.
She's gonna do a test step to see if the floor is even stable.
Alright, let me roll.
She'll be holding onto the door frame, 1 foot in.
You take a test step onto the floor, and you feel your foot sink in more than it should, as if the ground under it is giving way, but it doesn't collapse. But it definitely is questionable. As it almost feels like you stepped into mud with how weak the floor under it is. And it makes a wet, squishing noise. You sort of.
She's going to opt instead to take a picture of this room.
You take a picture of this room, and you note. It should be noted the main window right here is not, the center panel is not intact. It is shattered. But this is the window that was thoroughly boarded up on the second story.
So it's broken through the boards as well, or
No, the
Oh.
boards are over it.
okay?
But it is
This side.
window. Yes. And go ahead and roll a perception for me.
Three.
You notice across the way as you're taking pictures and you're doing your zoom on your camera, that the boards seem disturbed. You see scratches on it, and on the edges it seems like a place where it almost looks like someone had tried to pull on the edges of the board, try and loosen it to no avail.
From the inside.
Yes.
How badly does it look?
As in, how badly damaged is the board?
Yeah.
Not very. It looks like an honest effort was put into it, but it didn't make much progress.
Have we seen?
Have you seen a what? I'm sorry?
I don't want to go back and see if that echoes in some other boards.
Do you?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay. Just go ahead and ping the window. Do you want to check?
It's a window?
Yeah. Huh?
This is a window, yes.
Yes.
I'll make a quick trip over there.
You check, and as you get closer and actually take a look, sure enough, this board shows the same thing.
Right, we should hurry this investigation along.
Oh, cocks his head.
This might be one of the missing people.
Ah. He stops at the hatch on the floor. Looks at you.
Ready when you are.
Nods, and he'll go ahead and take a knee and begin to pull up the hatch. Let me go ahead and get a music change here quick as you guys go down. Sorry, one sec. So he opens the door, and you see stairs. God damn it, get out of here.
Now we fight Henderson.
Now we fight Henderson. You see stairs leading down. And he begins to descend.
Mind your footing, these are old stairs.
Nods. And immediately as you go down here, you realize it's different, where upstairs there was at least some ambient light, but down here there is very little. You know that it's pretty much pitch black down here. Your night vision goggles make easy work of it, or sorry, your night vision monocle makes easy work of it. But for Lalo, he seems to only have a limited vision.
Perhaps I should take point on this one.
You step down. Go ahead and make a perception for me, please.
4.
4?
4.
All right. You hear something distantly in the caves. Like a scratching almost, echoing off the walls.
Leads directly into the caves. Is it sealed in any way?
According to the reports, there was a cave-in.
So there's no way back into the mines from here.
Yes, that's correct.
She'll turn to Lalo. Shall we make our presence known or take a more stealthy approach?
I'm not the quietest person.
Then. Well, here we go. Is anyone down here?
And you hear the scratching after you call suddenly stop. And it goes quiet.
For your own good, I would suggest you make your presence known. Alright, we may not be dealing with a survivor here.
Should I take point?
Be careful.
Nods.
And pick to your left. Pulls out her rifle.
He nods and continues forward. You see as you come into this room, there are a couple dumped cans, and the floor is wet. Most of the floor here was dried blood, but here, the floor is wet, and it seems to be a liquid coming out of the dumped can.
She'll collect some of that.
You collect some of that. Lalo puts his finger in it and just kind of rubs it together. And he says, I shouldn't. He extinguishes his pilot lights.
Gasoline?
Nods.
Our mission was to confirm if someone was here. Do not necessarily need to progress any further. I have evidence here that there may have been a person.
But we haven't confirmed it yet.
This reeks of a trap. Or gasoline for a man who uses flame. I no longer trust the situation is in our favor.
Lalo thinks before he says, You read the notes from before, right?
She would have.
Original mission here.
She would have. What was included?
And you think about the notes. And River, would you like to burn a common sense?
Yeah, I'll do a common sense.
River, you think about the previous notes you had read, and you recall there being another way around. As noted, there was a door in the kitchen that you didn't try.
Let's double back and find another way.
Nuts. Pilot lights go back on.
She's still got her rifle pointed in that direction. She'll let Lalo proceed.
Go ahead, roll a perception for me.
3.
Alright, 1 second, please. Let me just. One moment. Oh no. Hide as you've got limited sight. Probably like up. Oh, 1 second, I gotta plug in my thing's about to die. No longer storming, so I'm okay to plug back in. I keep your spooks are actually my terrible battery. So we're probably like there-ish. And you're looking and keeping an eye on you. One second. And you, for a second, god damn it, Henderson!
It's Henderson!
It's Henderson! It's time to fight! You see something pass by.
Can I determine anything from the shape, or?
From the movement, it was not horribly quick, but it did seem to be tall. At least 5 foot. You hear the echoing of a sort of
Stairs, Lalo. Just keeping her, like, as she's tracing over, she's still got her gun pointed.
You continue to point your gun as Lalo goes up the stairs.
When he's up, she'll rush behind.
He closes the hatch behind him. Did you see something?
Movement. Definitely something. Alright, where is this secret? Is it this one?
Mm-hmm. You open the door. Henderson. You won't leave me be. Did you open the door?
I'll slowly open it.
You slowly open the door and it creaks like everything else in this house. And you see stairs leading downward, just as before. And it's over to the side here. But you know, this hallway is very damp, as the water that has kind of fallen down through the ceiling has gone down this area and under the door due to a slope in the floor.
She's gonna start hunching more and making sure the ghillie blanket isn't.
So you're trying to stealth?
Got more muted colors, so I'm assuming it'll help a little more.
Go ahead and roll your dex stealth. You can add the bonuses from the ghillie blanket.
2.
All right. You begin to stealth as you slowly kind of hunch down and allow the blanket, with its ability to almost reflect light around it. As you allow it to do the same in this area and cover you.
She will press forward.
All right. You begin to press forward. Let me go ahead. Okay, moving here. Sorry, my thing's not cooperating with me. One second. Gosh, diddly darn. Whatever. And
She will switch over to her pistol.
you do so. And you switch over to your pistol as you hear down here, especially coming from this direction, you hear a sort of wheezing, a sort of it echoes off the walls.
Signs of life.
And as you
Get 2.
Hmm?
She turns to him. Do you hear 2?
He nods. For the most part.
Could also be an escaped mimic.
What did you say?
Could also be an escaped mimic. We haven't any idea yet.
He nods and he's keeping an eye on the floor to make sure there's no gas.
She'll put around the corner.
Corner. Go ahead and roll.
Roll perception.
Yep.
4.
River, you see into the room and you see it as a large, expansive room with what seems to be just the soil is just absolutely disgusting with old blood. But you notice from this area where the cave-in is, there is a new red just seeping under a deep crimson. And you hear the sounds of rocks being disturbed. And you look over, and as you do, you see what seems to be for a second a foot just disappearing into what seems to be a hole in the rocks in the cave-in.
Side. Ahead of us.
He follows.
Gone into the cave.
Oh, actually, I moved you. And you hear distantly, and if you go forward, the sound seems to get louder. That breathing, that wheezing, that coming from that little hole. Now, it's not a tiny hole. In fact, someone not as... I mean, you're pretty thin, so even you could probably fit in if you were on your hands and knees. It could fit an adult.
River's reasoning two things right now. The whole infinity's definitely coming to mind. But this could also be a very scared person who just came back from.
Well, looks at you.
Mind your distance. I'm going to try to get a better look. She's going to try to angle, see if she can see down there.
All right, go ahead and make a perception +2 with your scope.
Nope. God, right when I need to be good.
River, you try and get a look in there, but all you see is black. Even with your night vision goggles, it's just black. Well, it looks at you to see what you to wait for you to say what you see.
Can't see. It's too dark. Anyone in there? We're here to help. We're here to help. But understanding you've been trapped in here. Does it sound like they're shuffling through further?
It sounds like there is shuffling of rock. Well, it looks at you. Looks at the hole.
Shine your light in.
It looked like he was slowly getting in that direction to do so anyway.
Legend, mind your distance.
You watch as he aims one pilot light towards it, and then as he gets closer, you know on his flamethrowers there are actually blades. It is sharpened to a point, and so he has the other one trained. He slowly creeps closer. And as he does, River, I'm going to go ahead and allow you another perception.
6.
River, you realize something now. The reason that you only saw black wasn't because you couldn't see, but because you were seeing something.
Oh.
And it was just so hunched in that little hole that it looked like a solid form that couldn't be seen past. And as Lalo gets closer...
Oh, go back, Lalo.
He stops and he kind of looks back towards you. And as he does, A hand reaches out and grabs at him with a
She will
And-
train. She will train, but
wraps around his ankle. And I'm going to roll because there is one of two things Lilo will do here. And depending on his res comp, we will figure out what that is. You get a good look at the hand, Rios. You see Lalo immediately begin to ready, and you see he is about to burn this hand, and it is pale and it's covered in blood. Do you do anything to intervene, or do you let it happen?
any claws?
In the split second, you cannot tell. It's happening very fast.
She will intervene.
Okay.
She will step forward and place a hand, like push on his chest.
All right. You do so. You intervene and put a hand on his chest as he is about to pull the trigger, and you kind of push him away. The hand continues to hold his ankle, and you see the fingers are twitching, almost convulsing. And you see from where the arm is coming out, it seems to be in a black sleeve. For the shirt, you can't tell what kind of shirt, but you do see blonde streaks of long hair kind of draping over it from inside of the hole, though you can't see the face, as you'd have to look in to get a vision. What would you like to do, River?
How aggressively is it tugging him, or is it just grabbing him?
It has a very kind of almost like a vice grip, and it doesn't. You can't tell if it is pulling or not, because the hand, as it is holding on, you see as it tightens and loosens and tightens and loosens, and all the fingers are just twitching so violently. It almost as if the nerves are firing off.
Against her better judgment, she's going to duck and place a hand on that one.
Do you look in the hole?
Yes.
You do so, and as you place a hand on it, you get a good look of what is in the hole. And what you see is, and I'm going to actually go ahead and blow up these tokens here quick so you can get better views.
Yeah, I can't see it.
So let me go ahead and give you a better view here quick. I know there's a thing for it, but I don't know what it is. Of a girl with long blonde hair and blue eyes, though the whites of the eyes seem to be burst and blood vessels are just completely broken. Blood is kind of dried around her eyes, and then some runs out. Her nose is running and she's spitting up blood, and you see there's speckles all over her, and her skin is bruising. You notice that there are tattoos on her face, one on each corner of her mouth leading down to her chin. And she is wearing a black t-shirt, or a black shirt more of, that has long sleeves. And you see that she is convulsing.
The signs of infection.
Absolutely.
We have to get her out of here. She's infected. I may be able to help her.
Or he looks, and you see after a moment of consideration, he takes his finger off the trigger of the flamethrower and nods. And he reaches into the hole, and Dolly seems to try and back away, but he grabs her by the shirt and just pulls her out.
You're sick. We're here to help you. We're going to get you out of here. You understand?
She looks at you with blank eyes. And she coughs, and as she does, blood just spews out of her mouth.
On the reports of blood soil, do we know anything of how it works?
Yes. You know that how blood soil works is once infected with it, it begins to spread. It slowly takes over the body, depending on where you were first infected from, and it essentially kills cells, almost like a terrifying mix of Ebola and leprosy, in which your skin begins to break down, and your organs begin to liquefy, and it is highly contagious. And you actually see, as you pull her out, there are places in which her skin is just peeling off.
How far along is she? She near the stage of
doesn't
death?
look good.
As if she had it with her, I was gonna last ditch effort like a force injector with like the mold.
She doesn't look like she's dying.
Okay, so we have time.
She doesn't seem like she's dying. She seems like she's really not doing well, though.
She'll pull out her phone and call Aisha.
You do not have signal in the basement.
Let's get her up to the surface.
He nods and he will pick her up. And you guys start heading up front. And as you are walking away,
Fingers crossed.
you walk away, and as you do, sounds of stones shuffling get fainter.
We should reseal the house once we're out.
How are we going to get her? How are we going to get her back with the infection?
We'll stay in the front room. Seal the hallway door. I'll call Aisha and we'll see what plan she has for this. We can find a safe way to get her back to my lab or some other secure facility. I might be able to treat her.
He brings, you guys make it to the front.
I'll take care of her. Seal the door.
Which door was she referring to? This one right here?
This one, yep.
Alright. He closes it, and begins to move things in front of it. And he's go on the floor. He doesn't give a shit.
I think he was nice enough to place them on the floor first.
Oh no.
Oh.
There's now more broken glass on the floor.
Is there service now?
Yes.
Alright, she'll call Aisha.
You call Aisha and it rings her before she picks up on the other end. Hello?
We found a woman. She's severely infected with blood soil. We need to find a way to get her out of here.
Alright. On my way. How badly infected?
Wear as much protection as you can. How long?
Unfortunately, we don't have much. And you hear just the sound of a car door on the other end of the phone. Or before she stops and she's like, "Is there anything in your lab that could be used?"
How many suits do you think she'd have purchased? Just the one, I think.
Just the one.
I mean, she's got to have all the stuff that she's using to actually work with it.
Mm-hmm.
She'll instruct her to whatever she has.
Okay.
Probably extra gloves, such like that.
Okay. Do you have body bags?
Yeah, she's got body bags. That's how she brought the mimics back.
Okay. She says, "I'll be right on the way. I'll call you when I'm there."
Do we have somewhere we could place her?
Unfortunately, I think your lab is the most sterile place at the moment.
It'll have to do for now. I'll put some funds into a better facility.
I'm grabbing the most secure thing I can find is a body bag. I'm bringing it.
Do not come in any physical contact with her when you get here.
I have no plans to.
And
And she says, I'll call you back when I get there." And she hangs up.
Aisha's on her way.
Okay. And the girl, she looks at you, River, and you see as her hands shake violently, she tries almost to gesture in a way. What languages do you speak?
German.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay, you do not understand her.
It's a sign language.
It seems to be.
Lalo, do you know this?
Shakes his head.
I'm sorry, we do not understand. She'll take her phone and hand it over. And you text it.
She takes the phone. Your phone is now contaminated.
Oh, it's already contaminated.
That is fair. And she tries to type some. He wheezes. And she, at some point, drops the phone, and you're able to pick it up and look. And this is what you see. And she wheezes a couple more times, and a mixture of what seems to be tears and blood kind of falls down her face.
Getting you somewhere safe. Are you alright if I take your vitals?
She nods.
Pulling out the first aid kit.
All right. You take her vitals?
And I'll take some samples of it.
Okay. Go ahead and do an intelligence medical. What vitals are you specifically looking for?
Heart rate.
Okay.
Just seeing her current state.
Okay.
What was it? Intelligence medical?
Yep.
Power in it?
What'd you get? 2 successes?
Just 2.
You take her heart rate and you see that her heart is just racing.
Wait, is there any pluses for using first aid kit?
Yes, that gives you a +3, I believe. Or +2. Let's give it a +3, why not?
Okay. 3 successes.
Yeah, you're able to tell her heart rate is just absolutely racing. More than it should be. As if it seems like she is she's not close to in danger of cardiac arrest, but it definitely seems like her heart is pumping in overtime. And you can tell while taking vitals and all that as well that it seems to be as you're looking at her with your intelligence medical and your knowledge of what's going on with the body, you think with your knowledge of blood soil, the tremors and such might be because of brain damage.
Well, she'll attempt to do whatever aid will either calm her or at least make the state a little, make her less miserable.
All right. You may try to calm. Go ahead and roll up presence persuasion.
Yeah, not good. Nope.
Did you have better manipulation persuasion?
River doesn't do people.
Okay.
Intimidate. Best.
You try to calm her down and it doesn't seem to work. As
You know what? Can I informative at her to just explain the situation?
unfortunately not at the moment.
Okay.
All of those, and he moves the couch. And as you're looking at her, actually, you notice her fingernails are torn to shit as well. Absolutely destroyed her fingers. There are some that are bent in strange shapes. There are many that are either have cracked or missing fingernails. Like she's been scratching at surfaces and trying to move things. There's a lot of dirt on her hands. And you can see splinters as well.
Poor thing, we'll get you out of here.
And eventually you get a call back. As you kind of sit with her. Lalo doesn't speak. Actually, let me roll something. As she's kind of sitting there, pain, almost. Lalo, you hear him quietly humming from beneath the mask, and it seems to catch her attention a bit. And eventually you get a call on your cell phone again. I'm outside.
Would you have us do?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you said.
What would you have us do?
I can't go anywhere near there. You need to be able to transport her in a somewhat contained fashion.
In the body bag?
And the body bag would be our best bet, but the two of you, do you have blood soil on you? How contaminated was the house?
We are all contaminated.
Okay. I did bring some disinfectant from your lab. Perhaps the two of you could wash down before bringing her out.
We're
Or at
going
least
to
one
have
of
to
you.
entirely change out of our gear. Fine is what mine is designed to do. Lalo might be a little upset that he'll be
I'm sorry, you cut out.
that's what her suit's designed to do, is to be removed. Lalo might be upset about his loss.
That's all right. We can always sanitize his and maybe get it back to him at some point.
While she's talking on the phone, she will informative at Dolly for the plan for why she has to be in the body bag and such.
All right, go ahead and roll. That's replacing your
Science.
expression with science. So this is going to be a presence science or a manipulation science.
Can I add biology? Damn.
No.
Oh. Willpower. Come on, dice, be kind. Or
She listens to you, and you get the sense that she is listening, and her eyes are kind of following you. She breathes.
just to help her understand that she'll be transported in the body bag for the safety of the others until she's in a sterile, controlled environment.
She nods weakly. And Aisha says over the phone, I'm bringing the body bag up to the door
Yes.
so that you can take it. I'm going to step away. The other disinfectants are there as well.
All right, Lalo. Aisha's going to be dropping a bag at the front door. Can you retrieve it for me?
He opens the front door, reaches out, comes back with body bag and disinfectants.
All right, we're going to be transporting you now.
Nods.
Store is not over yet. All right. Start to put her in.
You load her up into body bag. And then do you disinfect?
Yes. And
All right.
she'll report to Lalo that they will have to ditch their gear. Once they're out, of course, not in here.
Nilo kind of freezes up.
Yes, I know, but it's for your life. You don't
Nod.
want to end up in the same situation.
I understand.
You are going to have to purchase better gear.
Nods. You guys disinfect and head outside and change out of gear. Lalo is a sad boy.
It'll be sterilized. You'll get it back.
He looks visibly relieved. Even though he looked calm already with a little sweet smile and panic eyes, the panic eyes slightly calm. And you see Aisha standing out in the front yard. Ready to go.
Everything is prepared.
Yes.
We shouldn't dilly.
You all three head back. And you take Dolly in the bag and get back to the house and immediately rush down in order to get her to the lab. Are you on the row house? Did it transfer you?
Are we? Oh, dog is no longer allowed in lab.
Okay.
And River will put together a quick quarantine area as best she can.
All right, go ahead and roll a science dex.
Is biology?
Sure.
Pop willpower too, because it's important. Bye.
You put together a hella quarantine.
Oh yeah.
So you pretty much shove your mimics to the side. And actually, you end up, to make this quarantine, you kind of have it so that you have her, and then you have an area you set up where it's kind of sterile, and you have your dead mimic kind of in that general area, not seen, but as a sort of border, because you know that they're immune to blood soil. We're gonna go ahead and put her like here.
And River's immediately going to make some calls to prepare a better, probably an off building for this kind of stuff.
All right, you do so.
Are there
And
any houses for sale or lots?
there's a lot, actually.
All right, lovely. I'd like to purchase that. We're going to make that a lab.
Were you currently allocating your resources for something else at the moment?
I used however much for this monocular.
Well, aside from that.
I think just the monocular and Dissidia for Able. Otherwise, no, I don't think I had on anything else.
All right, then you can start allocating resources in which to purchase another fucking building. And I will look through and find which ones are available and point those out to you.
'Cause I think we need an off-site lab for the safety of everybody.
All right, let's see here. Let me pull up my map quick. Alright, and come on. Okay, let's see here. So, available buildings are here. I'm gonna just put a pink X on available buildings here. Here. Technically, the St. Belling's estate.
That's tempting. Right on the blood soil, that'd be perfect lab. What's this right here?
That's a cemetery. Are you looking for only local houses?
I'm looking, yeah, one's near the base.
Okay.
Actually, that one would be. I kind of want to near the outskirts of town. Okay, I think I'm split between this.
All right, which ones are you looking at?
This.
Okay, so either taking over the old Tote House or the one down there. Which one do you want?
So how much running we've had to do at night, I'll probably take the Toad House.
All right, you begin investing in taking over the Tote House.
Split that building so it's got like one nice living room and then everything else is lab.
Now the tow house isn't technically for sale yet, but you can allocate resources to start converting it anyway if you'd like.
And
And probably actually, since it's technically not for sale yet, I'm gonna. All right, then you may start allocating. That is going to take you some time to, because you have to change all the interior and everything. So go ahead and mark down in the status doc the tote conversion house, and go ahead and put 2 X's down for 2 resources dots allocated.
can I spend another one to speed them up?
How much resource dots do you have total?
I have 4.
Sure, you can put 3 in.
How do I mark that? Is that in the health thing?
It's in the status doc, yeah, so. Toad's
I don't
house
have it.
conversion. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. Then that is what you are doing, and that will put a end to your solo.
Hey.
Nice.
So then, let's give you some delicious